Guys, welcome back to another one. Yep, it's time for it. Winchester's Longbeard XR, locked and lethal. This is the 12 gauge, 3.5 inch version. This is 2 ounces of 4-shot, advertised at 1200 FPS, and these are made in the USA. So, USA Winchester product. I've been wanting to do these for a while, getting you a better view of the box. And apparently a lot of you guys have wanted to see it too. I'll actually read this, why not? These are a high-dollar shell. They deserve to at least be read. Featuring patented Shot-Lok technology, Longbeard XR offers the tightest patterns and longest shot capability of any traditional lead load. Shot-Lok technology. The shot launches from barrel near perfectly round for extremely tight long-range patterns. And that seems to be true. This stuff patterns really well. Incredible pattern density, twice the number of pellets in a 10-inch circle out to 60 yards. And a little asterisk, compared to traditional lead turkey loads. So, you can't claim that it's not as good as TSS. Well, that's why that's there. Greater penetration exceeds performance of standard lead loads beyond 50 yards. Again, that is true from everything I've seen. This is the best lead turkey load on the market, by far. Continuing on, here's our safety stuff. Not going to read that because, why? We should all know our gun safety stuff. Here's more warnings. Other side of the box. Yep, there it is. Very cool looking box, I gotta say. I love these things. If you guys have never seen the Longbeard shells, what they look like, well, you're in for a treat. These actually look pretty cool. And here it is, and yeah, 3.5 inch, but it looks longer than most 3.5 inch shells do. Why is that? Because these are roll crimped with a fake fold crimp. That is plastic in the center of that right there. See? It's plastic. It looks like it has a fold crimp, but it doesn't. It's actually rolled. I love the way they've done this. This is so cool to me. But here's the rest of the shell. The Longbeard, well, the writing on it is a little bit mushed around. But that's because they roll around inside the packaging. There's no way to really prevent that. Every brand has that problem. There's really no way around it. But this is a seriously cool looking shell. High brass, it's steel. Again, it's just brass plated. Winchester 209 with a copper primer. I've noticed Winchester tends to do this with their more high-dollar loads. They have a copper primer instead of the brass washed primer. But yeah, huge fan of how this looks. I can actually use a small flat tip screwdriver. Here's size reference, just so you guys know. A very small flat tip, and unroll the crimp. As you can see, this has a very shallow roll, and whenever you get shells like that or hand loads, you can actually just unroll them. You do not have to cut the crimp out. Now with deeper set crimps, it can be a bit of a challenge to unroll those, but if you have a heat gun or even a hairdryer, you can actually warm up the end of the hull mouth and still pry it up, although it's a hassle to do that. It's time consuming and they don't always go back together right. But these, you can typically re-roll them very easy. So I've got it unrolled. That was easy. But problem is, I did accidentally break the overshot card in half, but that's fine. I can fix that. So here's what the shell looks like. Oh no, I'm going to dump the shot out. Just kidding. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Well guys, plans have changed. Sadly, I do have to cut this hull open. There is no way to pull that out without destroying it. So, unfortunately, I will have to cut it up. Oh well, I have some black holes. 3.5 inch. That'll look not totally out of place in the shell. Yep, I did mean in the box, not the shell. But, I guess without further ado, let's cut this up. Alrighty, so we're going to start with this. 37 of whatever that may be. Sort of looks like little gun. Same grain size, but the powder does have a slight yellow hue to it. Do not think this is little gun. Does not look like it. But who knows. We have 37 grains, if my camera would focus. 36.6, the wind is messing with it just a little, as you guys can see. But it was on 37 for a while. Here's the hull. Definitely 3.5 inches. But you can see inside there, Winchester primer, straight wall, low base wad, pretty standard. Looks pretty cool, and this is a hull Winchester makes. It is not a Shot. If you don't know, yes, Winchester does use Shot hulls in some of their shells, but not that one. Next, we have the plastic gas seal. This thing is an 1/8 inch. It's pretty low profile, but it's not symmetrical. That side of it is pretty flat, and this is concaved. This is where the powder goes. As you can see, a little bit of flakes in there. But there's the gas seal. Pretty typical of Winchester. We have a, if the wind's blowing, I apologize, it did just kick up a little bit, but 3/8 inch felt wad, and that thing is hard as a rock. Very similar to what Federal uses in their 10 gauge slugs. I'm sure some other loads too, but the only one I found so far that they use this in is the 10 gauge slug. That is rock hard felt, like almost as hard as a nitro card. That's actually impressive how hard it is. And then we have this. That is what makes the Longbeard XR the Longbeard XR. There is no other shell like this on the market, as far as I'm aware anyway. If there is, let me know, but I really don't think so. It does not spill. And yes, that is upside down, just so you know. It is encased in a resin. Again, I'll talk about that in just a moment, but when you fire these, that resin in there keeps the shot from deforming like at all. It exits the barrel, as it says on the box, nice and round, which creates ungodly patterns. Genius idea. So I have broken these down before in 3 inch. Josh did had some. If I remember right, the 3 inch version actually had a wad, a felt wad in the bottom of the plastic wad, and that was a 1 3/4 ounce load. This is 2 ounces, or at least claimed to be 2 ounces. That is weird to look at, guys. This whole thing, wad and all, comes out to dang near 2 1/4 ounces. They are not lying about their payload weight. I fully believe that this is a complete 2 ounce payload in just the lead, and then you have the buffer and then the wad, making it a dang near 2 1/4 ounce load. Yep, I'm fully confident in saying that is a exact 2 ounce lead payload right there. Now what this stuff is, I believe it's a product called Smash Plastic. That is a compound sort of like they use on movie sets, breakable glass. Yeah, I think that is what's in here. At least I've seen other people claim it's Smash Plastic, and from the research I can do, yes, it is. Now that stuff is very expensive. It's like over $300 for a gallon of it, which is probably why these Longbeard shells are so expensive, but worth it in my opinion. Again, these do pattern very well. Yeah, I do believe it's a product called Smash Plastic. If you don't know what that is, look it up and read about it. It's pretty interesting, although expensive. But even if it's not, regardless, this shot is encased in a very hard, I don't know, rock candy type resin. It's pretty hard, but if you squeeze it, you can break it. And what that does is protects the shot upon firing from slamming into each other so bad and deforming, which again helps with the pattern a lot more than traditional buffer. This stuff is like magic. It's completely revolutionary. When people tell you the Longbeard is the best, the Longbeard XR are the best turkey shells on the market, they're not exaggerating, they really are. If you want to look up videos on these here on YouTube or anywhere really, these make just insane patterns. I call it halfway between TSS and lead. They're not quite a TSS, but a whole lot better than regular lead shot is. Whoever came up with this at Winchester is a genius. And people have tried to replicate this with things like hairspray or, yeah, even sugar. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff people have tried to come up with in order to replicate these shells, and it's not ever really quite worked out. That's why we haven't tried anything, because everything I've thought of, someone else has already done it. Yeah, guys, I would like to weigh the shot alone just to see exactly how heavy it is, but I can pretty much guarantee you it's a 2 ounce load, just the lead shot alone. But I don't want to destroy it. These are a high dollar shell, about $2.50 each. I don't want to, you know, mess with it and ruin it. Otherwise, perfectly good turkey shell. And here's what it looks like put back together. I managed to fix the overshot card, and I have it rolled with a got band too. You can see the taper on it. Looks just like the shell that came out of the box, aside from this being a Shot-Lok hull, and it has a, well, it's unplated steel. But both are steel base. I believe the Winchester is actually a little bit taller, but it doesn't matter. Brass height or steel height doesn't matter at all. Looks pretty good to me. So there's the Longbeard XR. A lot of you guys wanted to see it, and I really wanted to do it myself, so there you go. Now I can tell you the 3-inch version, I have opened up one of those before last year, or a couple years ago actually, and those are put together the exact same way. They just have a little bit shorter wad and a little bit less shot. But there it is. And these do come in a little bit heavier loads. But that's the end of this one, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, let me know, and we'll see you in the next one.